William Bagley was a man not satisfied with the current dominant educational theories of his time, so he developed his own. A critic and a supporter of Dewey's progressive education, he created essentialism in the hopes that it would strengthen and complement the current philosophies in existence. He agreed with certain aspects of progressive education, but ultimately he wanted to apply them in a more traditional way. Bagley's many years of studies and teaching helped to stem this new philosophy that would benefit the educational system. Emphasizing that education needed to be more formalized was the center of Bagley's philosophy. He spent much of his time and career working to professionalize the students, the teachers, and the entire system while fine-tuning teaching methods. Over the course of his life, William Bagley wrote many books and papers dedicated to education and the most effective ways to teach. It was his belief that education should be more equalized among the people while creating a more humane society. William Bagley has greatly impacted the educational community with his theories and philosophy on essentialism. William Bagley said, "Essentialists hope that when students leave school, they will possess not only basic skills and an extensive body of knowledge, but also well-disciplined, practical minds capable of applying schoolhouse lessons in the real world." Throughout William Bagley's career, he applied the best of what he learned and gave it back to the educational system. He worked for the benefit of students to accomplish his vision of formalized education to help him or her reach their fullest potential. William Bagley was born in Detroit, Michigan on March 15th in 1874. Growing up, he had an interest in becoming a farmer, so after he graduated high school in 1891, he enrolled in Michigan's Agricultural College. After he completed his bachelor's degree after 4 years, he had no money and no land, so he made the decision to go into teaching. His first job as a teacher was at a small elementary school in Garth, Michigan. During that time, he became interested in education and teaching, so he decided to pursue it further. Bagley attended the University of Wisconsin, where he gained a master's degree in psychology in 1898. Upon conclusion of his degree, he entered into a fellowship at Cornell University under Edward Bradford Tishner. Tishner was one of the most well-known psychologists at that time, and he was kind of in the lead at that time. While working with Tishner, Bagley was able to complete his PhD in 1900. And during this time, he also met and married his wife, Florence McLean Wagner. After completing his PhD, he began his official teaching career in many different positions at many different places. He first started out at Montana State Normal College for a few years as a professor, before he moved to New York for a few more years where he taught some more. Bagley became a professor and director at the School of Education at the University of Illinois. While there, he helped to build a stronger and more reliable education department. He also helped create a just better system in general that benefited everybody. In 1917, he was a professor of education at the Teachers University at Columbia University for 22 years. During this period of time, Bagley was able to accomplish most of his work writing books and papers. And it wasn't until the last few years, while he was there and teaching, that he actually developed the philosophy of essentialism. William Bagley worked mainly to professionalize the educational system to benefit all. He viewed the goal of education was to create the socially efficient individual. Education should lead toward the formation of a just, more equal, and a more humane society. In one of his books, The Essentialist Platform, Bagley pointed out several basic principles of essentialism and education. It was his belief that a teacher should be well educated and caring so as to best educate the students. If the teacher is going to instruct the class and the students, he or she should be able to be knowledgeable in the subjects they teach. Another key point of essentialism is that there is a democratic culture where the teachers impart the values and ideals of the community. It is important to keep tradition and ideals in the community and have it passed on to the next generations. The last principle is all about hard work. Bagley really emphasized that students should be accurate and persistent, and in order to be successful, they needed to be constantly striving for that goal. And the main part of that is that the students should be able to learn all the basics, cores of knowledge that will help them to be productive in the real world. So things like math and reading and science and writing, and those are kind of the basic foundations of essentialism, that those are important, and then students can continue to build off of that. Intelligence testing is one component of education that did not sit well with William Bagley. In his book, Determinism in Education, which was published in 1925, he criticizing the tests because he believed they were biased towards white middle-class students and that the minorities didn't have the intelligence, and since their cultural values were different, they would not do as well in these tests. Which kind of played into the role where he believed that education was the key to less crime and a more well-developed society with that. So he advocated for teachers that were willing to show the correct authority in the classrooms and that each student should be able to complete the tasks that they are given in order to help create that top-notch society. Teachers were to be completely knowledgeable in the topics they taught. The basic subjects were the keys that will lead to success of education. So kind of like I already talked about, math and reading were specifically stressed. Those were the main two. Along with science and reading are all foundations that can be worked off of in essentialism. So like I said, they're building blocks. William Bagley did not found essentialism until the last few years of his career, but it had a lasting impact on education for almost 100 years after. The theory of essentialism has been used constantly in education since then. In fact, it is now one of the more prevalent in schools today. He accomplished his goal of formalizing education with teachers becoming more certified and setting a precedent of order in the classrooms. Schools all around the United States now place a larger emphasis on the fundamental courses like math and reading, and then they have other courses and more fun courses that students can take on top of that. I personally have seen the effects of William Bagley's theory of essentialism in my own life, and I can now know what I can strive to apply to my own personal teaching. Teaching is a more formal idea in William Bagley's mind and should not be treated lightly because you're obviously instructing students that are younger. The basics are a key part of education, and if a student can master those foundations, William Bagley believed that they would be able to go out and further and progress not only in the education but also in their day-to-day lives, which is why the basics are so important. William Bagley contributed much to the educational system through his life, writing countless books and papers. Studying, instructing, and creating have all had a profound impact on the educational system today. He helped pave the way for self learning that would ensure the success of many students from all over. It is clear to see the effects of William Bagley's essentialism today and will continue to impact education for a long time.